Why don't we realign our educational system in such a way that we prepare them what the reality is going to give them, which is prepare them for entrepreneurial training, prepare them for how to run businesses from a very young age, and then realign our economic priorities in the same direction. Government must increase its funding into the Jua Kali sector. Government must increase its lending to the Jua Kali sector. And then the banks, and as a banker, I know what I'm going to say is not going to be very popular, but we must follow the Indian model and force our banks to lend to the agricultural sector and to the Jua Kali sector. And in India, they even have a bank, it's called SIDBI, that if you as a bank decide you don't have the competence to lend to Jua Kali or to the agricultural sector, then you place your money in SIDBI and they will lend it onwards for you. This is how India managed to develop a massive small and medium-sized industry. I'm not implying that we as a nation should give up the drive towards industrialization and towards creating more jobs, but we must accept where we are today as an economy and start moving aggressively to make it more efficient. The second thing that I'm very passionate about is this issue of the diaspora. I spent 25 years in the diaspora. I worked all over the world. And ultimately, I came back with everything that I had made abroad and started doing work in Kenya. And today I'm proud to say that I'm employing hundreds of Kenyans across Kenya. And there are hundreds of other Kenyans who are also willing to do the same thing. But what I can tell you is that everything that I have done here, I have received zero, absolutely zero encouragement from our government. Today, if we look at the remittances that come from the diaspora, in 2017, 1.9 billion came from abroad into Kenya. In 2018, this increased to 2.7 billion. In 2019, as of June, we're at 1.5 billion. So most likely we will close the year with about $3 billion in remittances. All this is coming into Kenya with absolutely zero support from the government. The diaspora funding into Kenya is more than what we're making from tourism every year. Yet we have a Ministry of Tourism, but we don't have a ministry for the diaspora. World Bank statistics show that diaspora remittances are only 5% of the disposable income that the diaspora have abroad. So you can imagine if this year they're going to bring 3 billion without any encouragement. Can you imagine how much would come back into Kenya if there was a ministry set up to encourage and to create incentives for the Kenyan diaspora to reinvest in Kenya? I think it's time we start thinking about that seriously. We as a country have taken the diaspora almost flippantly. In a way, we are grateful that they bring the money in, we're happy, but we don't make any serious efforts to encourage this. Out of the people in the diaspora who are investing in Kenya, less than 30% accepted that they were happy with their investments in Kenya. And why is that? It's because when you're sitting in New York or you're sitting in Dubai or sitting in Saudi Arabia, you're depending on your relative in Kenya to manage that investment for you. And many times somebody working in Houston is sending his hard-earned money thinking that his brother has bought for him a shamba and is building a house for him, and 3 years later he arrives here and he finds nothing. So we need to create a formal structure where we can build investments for the diaspora. This is directly linked with what we're doing here. We're trying to build the Big Four, and the Big Four can be massively supported by the diaspora. I think it is time that we do that. On the social issue, I've often asked myself, is there such a thing as a Kenyan? Do we have a Kenyan identity? Do we have a Kenyan culture? Are we like the Tanzanians today, or are we different? Every time we have a problem, we run to our tribal cocoons. Yet in Tanzania, if you ask somebody, Kabila gani Magufuli, nobody really knows. But in Kenya, we know the tribe of every single politician. I'm suggesting that we should streamline our educational system from a very young age to start training our youths on understanding and appreciating each other's cultures and each other's tribes, so that we will realize very quickly that we have more in common than what divides us. And you'll find in the urban areas, young Kamau will play with young Ochieng, and by the time they're teenagers, they've even forgotten what tribes they are. Yet tribalism continues to be a major problem for us. So I'm saying we need to address this not just politically. Let's go back to our children in the schools. Let's educate them. Let's build this idea of us as a Kenyan people, as a nation, irrespective of tribe, religion, color, or heritage. And we will build a nationalistic country. Nationalism cannot be wished for. We have to work for it. And finally, on an issue that I think bothers many Kenyans, today we are worried about, and we have this continuous talk about corruption and corruption and corruption. We went wrong when we dropped the ball on on chapter 6 of the Constitution. We allowed Parliament to completely dilute the whole essence of chapter 6 of our Constitution. We need to go back now and say that has to be re-looked at again and has to be enforced again, and we should not allow crooks and criminals to hold positions of authority. Why are you surprised that people are stealing left, right, and centers? We knew all along that some of these people are criminals, thieves, and drug dealers. It's time that we take this opportunity at Building Bridges Initiative to implement and enforce some of the visions that we had in the Constitution. I don't want to take too much time.